Hi everyone, Jennifer here, back with another edition of Movie Talk. And this week's movie is one of my personal favorites, and it is the third movie in one of my favorite trilogies, and that movie is Back to the Future Part 3. Marty McFly and Doc Brown are back in the third installment of Back to the Future. This time, Marty travels back to the year 1885 to rescue Doc after a lightning bolt strikes the DeLorean in 1955, sending him back to the Western time period. While there, they meet some new faces and an old recurring one, and must somehow fix the time stream to prevent a tragedy without upsetting the time stream any further in the process. Okay, highlights of the movie. This movie was made back in 1990, so it's about 30 years old. And it is a science fiction / Western movie. And it is, as I stated at the beginning of this video, the third installment to the Back to the Future trilogy. The first two being, of course, Back to the Future and Back to the Future Part 2. Okay, things I liked about this movie. I really liked everything about this movie. First off, Back to the Future is one of my favorite trilogies, so it gets some bonus points for that. Second off, unlike the second movie, which was great, I'm not saying it wasn't great at all, this one was more similar to Back to the Future Part 1, only instead of being in the 1950s, it's in 1885. But it's kind of along the same timeline, or not timeline, but the same plot line, where they are in the past and they have to figure out how to get from the past to 1985 when they have no way to power up the DeLorean or the time machine. In the first movie, they needed a way to actually power up the time circuits. And in this movie, it's not the time circuits that need to be powered up, it's the actual DeLorean, and this is not much of a spoiler because it's mentioned at the beginning of the movie. And that's because when Marty arrives in 1885, he runs into a little bit of trouble, and the fuel line to the DeLorean actually gets ripped. And the DeLorean itself runs on regular gasoline. So they needed to come up with a way to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles an hour to activate the time circuit. So it's like the first movie where they're kind of stuck in the past for a period of time until the event they need to happen happens so they can get back home. But it's a little different because, number one, they're not in the 50s, they're in the 1800s. And number two, it's not the time circuits. They're trying that they have to find an alternate source of power for. It's the actual DeLorean. I'm trying to think here. As I stated, we see some familiar faces in this movie. The actress who played Marty's mother in the first two movies, she again reprises her role as Marty's mother at the end of this movie, and she also plays Maggie McFly, who is Marty's ancestor back in the 1800s, in 1885. And Michael J. Fox not only plays Marty in this movie, but he also plays Seamus, who is Maggie's husband, in 1885. And the same actor who plays Buford Tannen in 1885 also plays Biff Tannen at the end of the movie. And then we see, like, some new faces. We have trying to think how to word this. We have a love interest in here in this movie between Doc and a school teacher. So we have a new character introduced into the story or into the movie, which is really good. And I don't want to get too much into it in case you haven't seen it, because this is actually a really good movie, and I could go on and on and on and on and on about it. But needless to say, this is the last movie. They didn't make any more after this. I mean, they had, like, I think a short-lived TV show that took place after this movie, but that was about it. This movie basically picks up right where Back to the Future Part 2 leaves off. That's one of the things I love about these Back to the Future movies. They pick up, bam, one right after the other. There's no lag time. There's no, like, 2 years later, 3 years later, 2 months later, whatever. It's bam, right in a row, right where one movie leaves off, the next movie picks right up. So they're really great. It's a really great movie, and I could go on and on and on about the whole movie. But unfortunately, I give away a lot of spoilers, so I really don't want to do that. One other thing I really liked about this movie is the fact that it is a sci-fi / Western movie, and you don't really see a lot of that. I think this was the first one I've ever seen that was classified as both a sci-fi and a Western movie. And really, like, you look at it, if you didn't know it was a Back to the Future movie, you would think it was just a Western movie, because you don't see a lot of the sci-fi in it. I mean, the main sci-fi is really the time machine. So, but, I mean, it's, I'm trying to think how to word this. It's really good. I mean, you see some futuristic aspects within the 1885 time period that really have to do with Marty and Doc Brown. A lot of the stuff Doc has around his blacksmith shop, because it's not much of a spoiler, it's mentioned at the end of the second movie. Or not at the end of the second movie, but it's mentioned at the beginning of this movie. That kind of help him with a little more modern conveniences and whatnot. Of course, their knowledge of the future and whatnot. And then, the time machine in and of itself, that's very futuristic as well. Again, I don't know if I stated this, I can't remember if I stated this in the first movie, and I probably didn't state it in the review of the second movie, but I love the design for the time machine. It is, like, so cool, and it's just something that, it sticks out. Really, because I know there are other movies on time travel and whatnot, and this one, it really, like, the time machine in and of itself really sticks out. Even the book, The Time Machine by Jules Verne, granted, it's a different time period that book's based in, for the quote-unquote present, but the time machine in there is, it's going to conjure up a different image than the time machine in this movie. So it's a really unique time machine design. I really liked it. Okay, cast. This movie had a great cast of actors. Actually more than three. Several come back and reprise certain roles they had in the movie, and we do have one additional actress who joined the cast. I really only focused on, of course, Marty, Doc, Clara, and Biff Tannen, because they were the main focus of the movie. But there were others. There was Marty's family back in 1985, Marty's ancestors in 1885, Marty's girlfriend, Jennifer Parker, of course, Biff Tannen, several other people from 1885 who are the ancestors to people from 1985. But you didn't see much of them. These were the four. Okay, before I sign off, a few things I'd like to touch on. First off, a quick reminder on my comment rules. Rule number 1, no mean comments. Rule number 2, no bad or curse words in comments. Rule number 3, I'm not opposed to debates, but please keep it civil. And finally, rule number 4, please be respectful to me and each other. Okay, feel free to leave your comments and questions in the comment section. I do love to read those. Also, feel free to follow me on Wattpad, Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter. I do have my name for those 4 sites right there on the screen, as well as the pictures I use for the icons. Please note that all pictures seen within this video do belong to their respected artists. I own absolutely nothing. And the links for any sites mentioned in this video will be in the description section. Okay, YouTube subscribers. Any of my videos that cannot be found on YouTube are on my Facebook page. Facebook friends, basically the same deal. Any of my videos that cannot be found on Facebook are on my YouTube channel. And to anyone who's interested, you can feel free to check out my Facebook group, Fanfic Corner. Please like and share if you're watching on Facebook, or like and subscribe if you haven't already if you're watching on YouTube. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a very nice day.